Hello everyone, it's Julie from Camelia Crafts Designs. I'm here today to continue with my eclectic junk journal. I'll be showing you how I put my signatures together and everything that's involved in that. And I'm also going to be decorating the front. I'm not going to town with the decoration. I just want to make it look like an old book again. We started off with an old book that was stained and dirty. I painted it and now I'm going to make it look old again. So yeah. Right, what shall we do first? First I'll show you how I've torn my pages to size, cut them to size, decided where to fold them, etc, etc. So if you're a beginner and you've not done this before, hopefully you'll pick up a few tips along the way that can save you time and maybe some stress. So I use a template for my book pages and I'll make a different one for every journal, just so that I know how big my pages are going to be. Sometimes I'll make it out of acetate, sometimes it's just a bit of card, sometimes if my pages are just going to be, the biggest is going to be an A4 sheet of paper folded, I'll just use an A4 piece of paper and make sure all my other pages fit in. That's if you're making a journal where you want all your pages contained inside the cover, which I do. If you don't, that's not as much of an issue, is it? So let me show you what I've done so far. I haven't left all the pages to fold with you because that would have been a little bit boring, wouldn't it? Also, the eagle-eyed amongst you, well, eagle-eyed, you don't even have to be eagle-eyed to know that I'm a week late doing this video, do you? Yeah, I promised to do one last week and then I just went AWOL. I'll tell you as I go along why that is. It's no earth-shattering, no thrilling. So yeah, this is my template, and what I do is I make it, this one I've made a 1/2 inch narrower than my book cover. I measure it from the inside, by the way, not the outside, because the thickness of the spine will determine how deep your pages want to be. And I've made it a 1/2 inch narrower, like I said, and a 1/4 inch shorter, so my pages should fit nicely like that. I like a little bit more room on this side if I may be putting a few tabs on or dangles than I do on the top and bottom. If I were putting top tabs on, I'd make them a bit shorter to have a little bit more room for that. I think I've done that before in a video. So let's crack on. I'm going to move the book out of the way while we do this. So my template is 8 1/8 inches wide and 5 3/8 inches high. So I've gone and done all these. Also, I may be doing far too many pages for this journal, so as I put my signatures together, that is when I'll decide if I need to take any out. And if you've never made a journal before and you don't know what a signature is, that's basically a collection of pages that are popped inside each other like so, and then you sew that in to your book. You'll have seen it when you take apart the books, or any book that's made in signatures. And I'm going to be putting 7 in my book, I've decided. I want lots of signatures, smaller than I normally do. I've never done a 7 signature journal before. 5 is the biggest, and I did that on a very wide spine, so this was a bit of a challenge for me as well, I suppose. So I've used quite a few regular scrapbook papers. I've picked my favourites. I really like this one. It's a graphic 45 one, but use what you've got. I'm not going to tell you where every piece of paper came from. I probably don't even know where a lot of them came from. So first things first, I'll get a new sheet and we'll make one together. Rather than telling you how I did it, I'll show you. So I've got this sheet here. So I'm going to make a page for my journal. What do I want on it? I like them birds. I don't want to lose all the birds, but I think I could cope with just losing a bit of that bird. So I'm going to put this template there. So that's going to be 1 page on my journal, and then I'm going to fold it over. Yeah, and then I'll put my crease in. Whee. So it's not measuring. I mean, you could measure your pages if you wanted. I'm not. I quite often do. The reason I haven't this week is I haven't been able to. Oh, look away if you're squeamish. I cut my hand. I cut my hand right there, picking up broken pots in the sink. Don't break your pots and then try and wash them, everybody. So I've cut my finger in my hand and basically I've been useless. I've been able to do nothing all week, which has been quite annoying. Right, that's my page. I'm then going to pop the template there and I'm going to rip that off. I'll rip that. And then I'm going to rip this side for the width. I'll line it up with that. I mean, if you prefer to use a trimmer, use a trimmer. Also, by using a template, I can do this on an untidy desk. I don't have to use the markings on my mat. And there we have one page. I might turn it that way around. Yeah, turn it that way around so that we'll see that on the front page. And there we have another page for my journal, and I know that it's going to fit in. It's something new for me, liking all these ripped edges, but I've been watching a lot of Johanna Clough, and that's how she does it. She don't have to use a template because she just does so many of these. So this is quite heavily inspired by her. Right, now I've got some ledger papers here. I cut this ledger paper in half, so we've got a top and a bottom, because this is a huge ledger. That is actually the size. I can't even fit one on screen. I think I showed it in my last video. It's an attendance book. So I cut it in half. I did this one on my trimmer. After doing these, I gave up because I couldn't handle properly. And because it's slightly wider than I want, I could have just cut a bit off, but I didn't want to lose that bit, so I've just folded it in. No particular rhyme or reason as to where I've folded it. That is now a page. I've now got the bottom half. I'm not too worried about losing any bits of this, so I'm just going to put my template up against that edge and I'm going to rip. You'll get a better rip if you're on a flat surface, but I quite like some of my rips being a bit jaggedy because I'm ripping them on the pile of stuff. Now that again is another one now that is the perfect size. All these bits I'm ripping off, I've got a little tub here to put things in, and they're going to be used for my pockets and flips and flaps and any other additions. Tuck spots, may even use them for tabs in the actual journal. So that's how I dealt with that huge piece of ledger paper. This one, I did scan this one, so you can get a scan of this on my Buy Me a Coffee if you don't have any vintage ledger. This happened to be the correct height within about a eighth of an inch. Look, that were perfect. So I got my template again and I just folded it to make sure it would fit in the journal, and on this side I folded it over again to make a flap. So there we go. They're not all perfect to the template because we don't want all our pages the perfect same size, do we? No, we just don't, no. So that's that one. Put that out of the way. I've got these pieces of this. Believe it or not, this paper is vintage. It doesn't look it, but I picked this up over 20 years ago in, well, I bought it from a wholesaler's when I used to sell things on eBay years ago. I've got this mulberry paper again. I used to sell this, but I don't have many colours left. So I cut those down with my trimmer. Bring in the template. There you go. They fit nicely. I had one piece of braille paper, and I now have more braille paper. Thank you, Anita, who saw me say that I'm going to put my only piece of braille paper that I own in this journal, and she kindly sent me some braille paper all the way from the Netherlands. Thank you so much, that was so generous. And there's such a lot of it, I'm going to have to find a way to share that with some other people because there's more than I'm going to use. I'm too old to use that much braille paper in what time I've got left, even if that time's 50 years. There's so much. So there we go, that's that. I've got some handmade paper. I think I still need to, yeah, that one still needs trimming to size. So now I just decide, do I want to rip it? Do I want to make a tuck out of it? And as I'm still having a ripping good time, when the paper's thin, I can do 2 sheets at a time. I made an awful mess of that because it's thin paper, but I'm not letting that stop me. This is going to be very ragged because it's handmade paper. Let's have a look what we've got. Pick it up, woman. Yeah, I like that look. We've got all those little leaf inclusions sticking out. I'm a happy bunny with that. So I'll add those to the pile. Let's make the pile look a little bit. There's still a couple more in here I may have to shorten. No, they're all the right size. Bring the book cover in. This is how I've been storing them so I don't get my knickers in a knot. There we go. Ooh, can you imagine how nice that's going to look? That seems to be sticking out further because it's not. Just because it's not all the way down to the spine. Let's tuck it in. There we go. That looks better. So yeah, I just love that look. That's looking good to me. Let's pop that there. So I showed you how I did that one. These again, this is handmade paper. That is going to need to be a little bit shorter. So I'm going to tear this one piece at a time because it's thicker. If it will even tear. I may have to wet this. That is not going to tear. We'll have to find another method for that. This is just some brown paper. Yeah, I'll tear that. I've already cut quite a few. There we go. I find the smaller the piece I'm ripping off, the more jagged my edge goes. And I'm learning to like it and love it. Oh, that went really wonky. A couple of years ago I'd have been like, no, bin it, that's no good. But now I'm learning to love the imperfections. Yeah, that I can now live with. That's going to stick out a bit far, so I'm going to rip it off. So that can go in the book. Oh, book just fell over. Stay, stay. We've got some, are they all ready to size? They're all ready to size. So we need to cut that one to size. I'm just going to move the book even further out of the way. It's not very well planned, today's video. I've not done a video for a week and I was like, I don't even know what to do. I forgot how to do one again. So I've got these. These are some vintage music paper. These are from 1937. These were such a bargain. I'll show you the cover. I picked this up on eBay and when you look at the cover it's like, oh, it's terrible. But thankfully the papers inside have fared a lot better than the cover. So yeah, I want to put some of this in. This is not one I rip up and do collages with. And looks, was it a library book? Or did they just stamp books back then? Or has someone put that in later? I don't know. It says it's 1937. I think it's before the time when we had copyright dates on things. What does it say? Ooh, oh, it was copyrighted in 1929. Wow. So yeah, maybe that's genuine. It certainly looks it. So, I don't want to lose too much of this, but I've obviously got to, because it's not going to fit in my journal other way. One option is to turn it sideways, which I've done with a few books. I could, it would still be too long. So what I'm thinking of doing with this is making a pocket page. So I'll move those out of the way. I'll leave myself with the one piece. And I'm going to, again, use this template to decide. I know I'm going to have some music that's upside down, but I don't know about you, but sometimes I can't tell whether it's upside down or right way anyway. And I'm going to decide where to fold it to make my pockets. And I think I could, that would be good. Then I think, do I want to cut that off? Could I make two separate pocket pages that are narrower? Yes, I could. So I'm just going to tear that in half. I think that's the way I want to go with this one. Yeah. There'll be narrower pages, but they'll still be good. I could have one full size and one narrow. Yeah. I could then put one in each signature, but then the book would be rather huge. So yeah, I'm just going to fold it up there. I'll hutch it up a little bit. So that is now going to be a pocket. Because this paper is very old, it's not too fragile, it was quite thick paper, I'm going to fold that in as well. I'm going to use my template because it's a thick sturdy piece of card, or you can use a ruler. Just to see, yeah, I'll fold it in by about that much. There we go. That will then get glued with a glue stick. And I may even sew this page. So yes, I am going to be sewing some pages closed. that's that. I think I want my full-size page to be this ripped one so I can see it on the edge of the book. So I'm going to pop that there, and then I'm going to use that to fold it. You don't have to. I mean, if you're experienced at making these books, you probably get an idea of exactly where to fold them. I'm not, and I don't make them a lot. So that's that. You may have, can you see how that sticks out a little bit? I'll just trim that up when I come to pop it in the journal in its final place. So that's that, a nice pocket page. Pop that in. I've got, I think, no, I haven't made any with this one yet. I'm not sure, but we can always have another. I've made some with this. This was another ledger I got hold of. It is vintage, but it's not as old as some others. But I love the colour of it. It's not quite green, not quite cream. So all I did with that one is I cut it in half and just, I'll show you. I don't like ripping pages out of books as well. I like to take them apart at the spine along signature by signature. I don't know, I just do. So I got that. Yes, all I did with this, I decided where I would rip it. So I'm going to fold it there, just above where it says monthly sales. And I'm going to rip down there. And then I just folded it in half and it fit nicely in the book. I can see that that's going to fit without using my template. So that will be a page. And this will then be another page. It's just got that little bit of interest on, hasn't it? So that's 2 more pages. What else have we got? Oh, I've got this one here with the letters on. I've not done anything with this yet. This was a vintage book that someone had used to plan a wedding. Again, I got it off eBay. I don't go rummaging around a lot of vintage shops. You don't get a lot round here. You get the odd little gem in my local ones now and again if you can get there before they've thrown them away, thinking nobody wants them. And I want that as part of my page. So again, come back template. Oh yeah, that's going to be perfect. So I'm gonna, yeah, I'll have those folded in. So they're not going to be on the very edge of my book because they are quite, they're old and a little bit delicate. But I'm going to tear this journal, this ledger page in half. I'm going to do it along that line there. Yeah, cheat. Let the lines help you. Well, it's not cheating, it's using your noggin, isn't it? Eee, so that's that. Then I'm going to use this again. I'll just hutch it a little bit over. I'm being careful as well. I really don't want to get paper in that cut. Oh, you silly woman. Yes, last weekend I trotted along and had my flu jab at weekend. Flu shot, you call it in USA, people will call it. And do you know, it made me feel rotten all weekend. So I was like, yeah, I'll do my video Monday. It's only a day late. And then Sunday night. Oh, it's Sunday night or Monday night? It must have been Sunday night. Washing up. I've been a bit vigorous throwing things in bowl, probably. And then I'd broken my Pyrex dish and I grabbed it and it was like, oh my word. So yeah, that's put me out of action all week. I couldn't even type because where that is, I had to keep my hand completely still. So I've been wearing my arthritis gloves. I was going to put one on for this video, but it's seeming okay now. So yeah, that's the full story. So that's how I've done that one. That is now going to be another page. The one that I've got left, I could just put that in as is. I don't honestly know what I'm going to do with that. I may put it in as a small page, but I think I may have got enough small pages. So that's that. I think you get the idea now of how I'm making pages. I've got far more scrapbook papers than I need. Now these, I want to use these for the end pages in my book. I don't know which I want to use. I'm going to put them on last because I don't want to make a mess of them when I'm making the book look all grungy. So that probably will get done in another video. I'll probably do that in the same video where I sew my signatures in. Because I don't want to turn this into a hugely long series. Right, let's bring the book back now. So here it is. Here are the pages I've just made. So we'll add them to it. And yeah, that's the pocket page I've just made. Yeah, that's everything we need. Oh, I've got this page as well. I'm going to need that for when I make my cover. I'll show you what I'm doing with that in a minute. I'm just going to pause 2 minutes, adjust my lighting because I think we've got a storm coming in, and I'll be back with you. And I'm back. Yes, it looks a bit black or Bill's mothers, as they used to say in Yorkshire when a storm's coming in. I've no idea why they say that, but they just do. And I still say it now. Because I learnt a lot of old-fashioned sayings off my mum. Right, I've just realised I didn't show you how I'm going to cut this handmade paper. Right, I've got a little pot. I'm going to put some water in it. Now, if you have something called a water brush, you can use that. I have one, but I'm just going to say I can't find it, and then I thought I'd spotted it. Otherwise, get a bit of water, get a brush. I'm going to use a ruler for this, not my piece of chipboard, because I will ruin my piece of chipboard if I start dipping water in it. Right, I'm going to bring it back now just to... So this is my page template, remember? Yeah, I'm going to make a light mark with a pencil, just a light one. You might not even see it. Just so I know where to place my ruler. And I'm going to do it one page at a time. That would be better, wouldn't it? Of course it would. Because handmade paper can be... Oh, there's 2 pieces there. I didn't even realise that. Oh, look at that. Oh, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, because this is from an old photograph album, isn't it? And it had the pages and the protectors. Oh. Anyway, might be teaching you how to suck eggs here, but somebody will have not seen it. So I'm just going to line my ruler up there. I'll use the fat, chunky edge of my ruler rather than the beveled edge, tapered edge, whatever it's called. And I'm just going to get... I've got a fine paintbrush, and I'm just going to paint water down. And look, that should then let me tear it a lot easier once it's wet. And it'll give a lovely feathery edge. There you go. You saw once I got to a bit that wasn't wet, it were hard to tear again. I'm doing it bit by bit because it'll also dry. It's very warm in here. So if I were to go all the way down, it might have dried, start to dry at top. And that's now my lovely feathery edge. I'm just going to do that, and then you can't see the line where the ruler was. Ooh, that's so nice. I'm just going to check with my template, because I might need to come in a little bit. Oh no, that's perfect. I think I can already see where to do this. It were about there, when it were about there. This page might be a bit shorter, but I'm not going to spit me to my heart. I've got enough water. Get a bit more water. And I'm just going to do exactly the same. I'm going to try and tear that really thin piece before I go dousing it with water. Oops. Whee. Got to get a wee or two in, haven't we? Yeah, so all in all, I should have learnt by now, whenever I say on a video when my next video is going to be, something happens. And that is not when my next video is going to be. So, yeah, I've had quite a lazy week, really. I've done things around house with one hand. I've watched a lot of Netflix. Because, yeah, for the first 3 days, basically, I just had to keep my hands straight and my fingers together and not do anything. Yeah, like the man with the golden no. Like, oh. If I could have cut, I don't think I could have cut a more annoying part of my hand. I need to be more careful. My mum used to say, you need to be more careful when you know how clumsy you are. So yes, mummy, I do. Right, so I'm just going to let that dry now. But I love that lovely feathery edge on that. Really nice. Let's have a go with this one now. I'm going to see whether this will tear without water, with it being a lot thinner. So bring that template back in. And let's see. It may or may not. Oh, it does. Yeah, that's fine. I'll still get my lovely feathery edge. I could have got a lovely feathery edge using water, but why use it when you don't need to? What did they say? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Says me, painting a old stained book, and then I'm going to make it look old and stained again. Now that's not quite tearing so well at bottom, so I'm going to come in with a bit of water, see if it helps me. There we go. Oh wow, that's not quite tearing properly. I've took a chunk out. It looks like I've had a bite, but I can live with that. I may put something over it, I may not. You know, you don't know. But I'm still going to use it. So yeah, use the water even if it's thin. We can now see. Maybe if I'd done it on my sharpened edge of a ruler it would have been better, but hey ho, I've done it like that now. So they're just over to one side to dry. I'll get rid of these. Do you know, I really want to get into making paper, but that's just one more craft that I ain't got time for and I ain't got room for, isn't it? I want to save these bits for when I get into making paper. So we'll put them on windowsill for now, see what happens. Right, I'm going to get all my pages now. Everything can be put together apart from those two that are drying. Right, let's put everything we've got in the book and see. That is going to be one chunky journal. We're not going to have room to add a lot to it. I don't know. I'll see what it looks like when it's put into signatures and decide if I need to take a few bits out. I'm going to move that before I tip it over because you just know I will. You just know I will. Right. As I said, I've decided I want 7 signatures, and I've decided I want each of my signature covers to be one of my scrapbook papers. So that's 3, 4. If I had more room, I would be more organised if I had more room, but we don't all have a lot of room, do we? I know I don't. If I were making this and not wanting to film any, I'd probably move on to my downstairs dining room table, where I really just can't get any good light for filming. Plus I'd have to move all my equipment down there. So that's all my scrapbook papers. So this could eliminate some things from the journal because I've got more than 7. So that's a lovely cover. That is beautiful. Gotta love those. I don't know, they look like coal tits. We have coal tits around here. Some of these aren't full size, so I won't be using those as... Oh, look how fat. I knew I'd made another pocket page. There it is. That's not a full page, so that'll go within the journal. That's a thinner, not so yummy scrapbook paper. That will go within. So that's going to be in a cover. So that's my 4. That's 5. I would just do a cat shake. That's 6. And that's 7. Again, that's a half page. I didn't plan that to have exactly the right amount that I need. I just happened to have. So they are going to be my 7 signature covers. So let's see what else we've got. We've got some more scrapbook paper. I'll just make little piles. I've got music paper, half pages, flippy flappy pages, plain pages, a card. So if I get all my ledger pages into a pile, I can then share them out between the signatures and make sure we've got a little bit of everything in everything. I did have them sorted out at one point, then I started messing again. So that's some more ledger papers. Another ledger paper. Another ledger paper. It's like there's one, there's another one. Oh, I've got some little ledger papers here. These came in a happy mail from my friend Shirl over at Crafty Shamrock Designs. In fact, I'll show you what she sent me. It was fabulous. It was this little ledger binder with all these in. They're fabulous. That could be made into a journal in itself. That is the plan eventually. But I've just took a couple of the pages out to put in this journal for now. Thanks for that, Shirl. So that's ledger. But they're not full page ledger, so I'm going to have them in a slightly different pile to sort out. So I've now got all my full page ledgers, so I'm going to share them out between my 7 signatures. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 9. So I could have, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I take 5 of those, that then gives me 14 pieces, and I can put 2 in each of the signatures. Put those out of the way for now. I hope you're following this, but this is how I normally do it. I normally do it between 3 or 5 signatures, so doing it between 7 is a lot of counting. So I'm just going to do it quite randomly. I'm going to pick 2 and put them in each. I will rearrange all my pages. So 2 go in that one. 2 will go in that one, etc, etc. So that's what I'll do with the ledger papers. I'm not going to do this all on camera, you'll die of boredom. So what other papers have I got? I've got a lot of book pages. So I will, oh, I found some check paper. I'll not call them ledger papers. Do you know, because they're not, well, some of them are vintage. I now want to get all my book pages and share those out equally between the signatures. And as I said, I have mainly got, yeah, I've chose from books that mainly are the correct size for the pages, and some of the ones that I won't mind having sideways, like these are beautiful. These are from the Concise British Flora, and I've picked some with my favourite colours on, just pages that appeal to me, and I don't mind having those turned sideways because they're so gorgeous. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, my favourite recipes, 7, another one of those, 8, a poppy, I love poppies, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now that's quite handy. So we can have, I'll take one of those out because like I said, the book is getting a bit chunky, and I'll put 2 of those in each signature. So I'll pick a really pretty one and a text-based one, and I'll put those inside the signature. Like I said, I will rejig within each signature. So that's what's going to happen to the book pages. Then I have all these. So I'm going to sort these into 2 piles. I'm going to sort them into pretty pile and functional pile. That's what I'm going to call it. Pretty and functional. Functional, functional. That's pretty. Functional. Are you with me? Ooh, what pile shall I put that in? I don't really know. That might have to have a pile of its own. Yeah. They can have a pile of their own. I'm sure I'll get to 7. I've got these yummy mulberry papers. They are cut rather than torn. Yeah, I could go and feather the edges if I wanted to, but we can't feather everything, can we? I've got the Braille. Oh, that's going to go. I'll call these speciality papers. That's more functional. Those are pretty. Pretty. I will put, oh, that's some more handmade paper I've got. That can go there. And they can go pretty. So how many functional pages did I end up with? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I just need to pick one more thing to be in the functional pile. I think I'm going to use that Braille paper. I know it's not functional, but it fits. Or can I use that? No, stick with that, woman. No, I'll use the pink. I will make my mind up one of these days. We'll call that. So I will put 1 each of those in each signature. So we're going to have 2 book pages, 1 each of those, 2 pieces of ledger, and then I'm left with this pile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's only 9 of those. So what I will do, not all signatures have to have the same amounts of paper. I want them to be around the same thickness. So I will put these in. So I've got my 7 signatures, and then I will decide where to put these based on how thick each signature feels. And I'll do that with you. But first, I'm just going to put all these in off camera because I'm going to need to spread out a little bit more. And it's not going to be the most thrilling thing to watch. Now you know what we're doing. So 2 ticks. So I've now got those into my 7 little signature piles. I've not put them all together. Do you remember this pile where I said we have more than 7, so we may put more than 1 in a signature or not? Well, these 3 signatures on top do feel thicker than the others because they've got those folded over pocket pages in for that one, and this one just seems to have more, I don't know, it just feels thicker because it has more scrapbook paper in, I think, 2 rather thick pieces. So when I come to share these out now, I will put a piece of braille in 2. I think I'll use the ones with the pocket pages to have a piece of braille paper in. So that's 1. Was this the other one? No, that was the other one. So I will put the other piece of braille paper in that one with the pocket page. And then these thinner ones, I will put 2 into each of the other signatures. So we've got a piece of handmade. That can go with that nice pink one, I think. The piece of handmade with the nice yellow one. Then we've got 3 mulberry papers. Put those 2 out of the way. So I'll put those 2 in. I'm going to go for that signature. So that's that one done. And that one can go there. Did I put any in that one? Did I? Yeah, I did, because that was the one that had braille paper in, because it had a pocket page, was it? Oh, I don't know, I've forgotten now. As long as they feel okay. Yeah, they feel fine. That feels good. They feel good. So these 2 are still... that one needs something in, doesn't it? Just 1, we think. Now I've got these 3 pieces of mulberry. So I'll put 1 in each of those. I don't know how I ended up with less pages again. Oh, some of my half pages up here. I'll stick 1 of those in. I'll just make sure that I don't already have 1. No, it doesn't. So that can go. So it doesn't really matter if they have exactly the same amount of pages in. I just like them to feel around the same. Right, so that's those 4, and that's those. Now, because I may have to take some pages out again, because now I've got to decide if that's too many to go. Oh, that was it, wasn't it? The 2 that are drying. They're my 2 extra pages. Ah, I knew I had more pages somewhere. There we go. So that was a thin one. And that was a thin one, so we'll put 1 each in those. Yeah. We've got the handmade paper very well spaced out now. That may still need to be shorter, I don't know. Oh, I like how it looks feathering out though. Did the height need to cut down on that? No. Right, so we now have our 7 signatures. I'm now going to pop them in book and decide if I need to start taking pages out. Ooh. Do you know what? I think this might work. Yeah. There's a little bit of room to add a few more things. Once they are sewn in, the spine side will be compressed a little because it will be held into the book, if that makes sense. So because my book is still wedge shaped, I think I do still have, I think that will be okay. We'll see as I put pockets in. That's all I'm doing of that today. I'm then going to use some of my offcuts to sew some pockets in. I don't sew on camera, so I'll show you them when I've done them. If you don't want to sew them in, just glue them in. You do you. The other thing I want to do today, now we've got that all sorted, put those safely, woman, is what I'm going to do on the cover. Now, I said to you I'd saved one book page and I was going to use it on the cover. Now, I went through all my random books and book pages because I couldn't be bothered to go and print something off to write on front. Because I've decided I want to use one of these. So I've found a book with the perfect word, which is notes. I didn't want to put journal, that's a bit obvious. All I've got to decide now is which one of these two to use. I think I'm leaning towards that one. I am. So I'm going to put that on my book cover. But first, we're going to grunge up these edges. Now I'm going to do two things. I'm going to sand it slightly and then I'm going to ink it. And all I'm going to ink it with is my Distress Oxide ink. I may ruin this dauber because the book's rough, but I'll just put another one on. So I'm going to grab my vintage photo and my walnut stain. I'm using a simple bog standard nail file and I'm just going to rough some of my edges up. So here we've got not too much so it takes too much paint off, but it's just going to give me a little bit of variation in the colour. There you go. So the book will take the ink differently. I did practice on one corner and I liked it. And I consulted the technical and art department, see what they thought. And my daughter did think rather than putting a different colour paint on which may not give the effect I want, using ink probably would be better. And she gave me this sanding it idea a little bit. Because this is where a book would get worn, isn't it, on the edges. I'm going to come in and do it a little bit there. You could probably put all sorts of different products on this. But like I said before, the problem I have with things like that is I don't use them often enough. And they dry up. Also, I forget how to use them. I'll buy a product to do something with, then I will completely forget what it does and then never use it. I think that's an age thing, isn't it? Maybe young whippersnappers can remember how to use the stuff. Right, so I don't know if you can see. Well, I quite like that. I might put a bit more wear on corners, but because this is an old book, some of the corners are already a little bit battered, so that's going to add to it. I've got a sanding block somewhere. I was going to use that, but yeah, where is it? I don't know. Right, I've got some ink on my dauber already. I'm just going to, this is an old envelope I'm never going to use. I'm going to ink it up, and then I'm just going to make sure, just going to dab on, just to make sure I've not got too much ink on, because if I put too much ink on this, I can't really take it off. And I'm just going to come in and I'm not even doing it very evenly. And where I've sanded it, I hope you can see it's taking the ink slightly differently. It's darker in some places than others. I'm not being particularly careful. Oh, knocking my fan over. Just dabbing that off a little bit. So it's not a long process. Just pick my fan up. I mean, what's the paint called? Distress. It's distress paint, so I'm using it to distress a bit more. Well, it's not. It's distress ink. Just dab that off so I don't get that big blob. And be a bit careful once you've inked your dauber up. I'm quite liking it, look at that. That's looking like an old book that's been used and battered a little bit. I considered putting book corners on, but I thought, no, this is a sturdy book. It's managed all these years. It doesn't need book corners. A bit more ink. Have we? And you can always come back in. Other thing I'm not going to do with this, I'm not going to seal the book. The reason I'm not going to seal the book, again, I've done a little bit of research and I've spoke to daughter and I've spoke to a few other people. I've painted it with acrylic paint. Acrylic paint is basically, once it's dry, it's not going anywhere. It's got plastic within it, hasn't it? I'm not a scientist. And I'm just going to... So I think I like the feel of it. It feels lovely. And I think if I were to come in and seal that with something like Mod Podge or varnish, I'm going to lose that lovely feel. And I don't want to lose that lovely feel. So yeah, acrylic paint will be enough. Also, we want it to carry on looking old and tattered. I was considering putting some gold leaf on. I still don't know if I'm going to. I may do, I may not. I can't decide. Right, I've done the outside now and the inside's looking rather... It's looking rather... Yeah, so I'm just going to come in and do a little bit on that inside as well. I think I'm being light enough in my paint though, so I don't have to dab it off. I'm a very heavy-handed person at times. Yeah, I'm making a bit of a mess of that foam, but I don't really mind. I'll use another one. So that's it. Book looks old. In fact, you know what? I think it looks real old with that ink rather than a fake old. You know what I mean. I'm just going to make sure I've got some on the actual edge. It's a little bit looking a bit light blue on edge. So there we go. I've aged up my fabric book. It's worth seeking these fabric cover books out in charity shops. Save you a lot of time. When you do cover, they were done. It's done. I just need to put my book plate on now. So that's my cover. I like it. Does that look dirty and grungy? I know I did have someone suggest it would look good with crackle paint, but I don't honestly know how it will crackle on fabric, and I don't fancy testing it out on this book. I may test that out because I do have some crackle paint, and yeah, we'll see. Right, I've got this now. This, I've decided to go with the round. It's Tim Holtz this. They are Tim Holtz ornate plates. Again, I got these in Happy Mail. As you can see, I got book corners out and I was tempted, but I don't think I want to use book corners. So that, I just basically want to cut that bit out and pop it in there. But I think I need to stick it to some card first. Grab a piece of card from my card scraps. I'm going to use a cream piece, basically. I don't want to alter the colour of that. You can see a few of the words from the other side, but I'm not going to let that upset me. I'm just going to grab my chopper and I'm just going to cut part of this page off. I can use my chopper now. I'm still not putting palm of my hand on. I don't want it to hurt. Cut that down so you're working with a smaller piece, woman. There you go. That's all you need. Yeah, has anyone else had that flu shot this year? It really made me feel a bit blah, blah. I had a friend come down for a longer than usual cuppa on Wednesday because I couldn't do it as well, and she'd had hers on the same day. We'd actually passed each other going up for it, and it made her feel a bit blah. And it were really swollen and hot and red. That doesn't normally happen with my flu shot. Right, where's my dauber gone? Here it is. I'm just going to, I think I'm going to use, this one's got tea dye on. This is paler, this one. I'm just going to put a bit of that on. I'll try it there. Yeah, I just want to put, I don't want to make it look really dark. There you go. And I don't want it even. I just want to grunge that paper up a little bit. Yeah. So I'm going to stick this to that. And I'm going to use my Elmer's glue stick for it because it's going to dry nice and quick. I can't see where it says notes at the minute. But just to make sure all my edges are stuck down well, I'm sticking a far bigger piece on than I need. If that makes any sense. There we go. Right, and I'm going to put that on. I'm just going to lift it up to see if I've got it straightish. Yeah, it's straightish. And I'm going to draw around the inside now with a pencil. And if you watch what I'm doing, I'm just going to... I'm doing it so it goes under as far into the edge as possible. There we go. Now, because there's a recess on the back of these, I'm going to cut just around the outside of the pencil line. Then I'm going to rub away the pencil line. And hopefully it's going to pop in there perfectly. We'll see, won't we? We shall see. But before I do that, I'm just going to pause for 2 ticks so this has time to dry before I attack it with the scissors. And I'm here again. So I'm using my fussy cut scissors for this. I don't normally cut thick card with them, but I can hold them better with my poorly hand. So I'm just cutting slightly outside that pencil mark. I just want to make sure I can still see the pencil mark. I'm just going to... There we go. If it don't fit, I'll trim it down a bit more. Maybe I should have let that dry a bit longer. You'll be right. Yeah, I don't talk much when I'm fussy cutting. It don't matter how neat edges as well, because it's got that little lip, that little recess. You won't see the very edge. Very well designed there, Mr. Tim Holtz. Very well designed. Whee. And we've got a quick wee in. I hope it fits. I could have cut it off camera, but at least you can now see I'm really cutting it by hand. Yeah, my cutting skills leave a lot to be desired at the minute, don't they? Now I'm just going to see whether that does fit. I could have cut it a lot bigger, actually. I could have cut that bigger. It probably would have fit better. I did not realise it gave you that much room. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stick that. Let's take that off first. I'm just going to take the pencil lines off. Yeah, I really should have cut that even bigger. It's a while since I've used one of these. I thought I got in under that lip a little bit further with my pencil than I did. Right, I'm also going to just grunge the edges up a little bit. So that's going to show. Because remember, it's an old book, this. We've had it years. We haven't really. Yeah, I like that. So I'm going to have to be really careful now with how I position that, aren't I? But I've done it. I've done it. So I'm just going to stick this to another little piece of card to make sure it's going to fit nicely. I'm going to use that. I'll use my art glitter for this because it's card to card. Oh, take pin out, woman. It's so small pin I've got in that one. I didn't see it. Oh, that hurts. That hurts to squeeze that. Yeah, I'm still not in full crafting swing, am I? That's perhaps a little bit too much. Oh, come off me, Matt, you mare. That's on there. Grab a baby wipe now, because you made an awful mess. Yeah, I've not wanted to make too much mess crafting, even when I could use my hand yesterday and today, because I don't want to get that in water. Not for a prolonged amount of time, anyway. Don't want it coming open. Right, now I'm going to cut around that. Silly woman. Yeah, so if you do it, you've just seen my mistake. Cut a little bit further round if you're putting this book plate in than I did, because I made it far too small. Whee. see if this is going to fit. Is that even straight, that notes? Yeah, straight enough. What does my mum say? A blind man would be glad to see it. I think I need to cut a little bit off the top so I can hutch it up a little bit, because it was a little bit too wonky for my liking that way. And perhaps a little bit off the bottom of this one so I can hutch this side down. Then I'm just going to put a little bit more, so that if you do see a little bit of this card, it won't be too noticeable, because that's been inked as well. Use a bit of dark ink as well, so we've got 2 tones on there. Yeah. And let's have a look at that again. Oh, there you go. So you've just seen how not to do it and how to fix it. I'm quite happy with that. Right. Now, these book plates do come with some little brads. Mine have been lost long ago, but I do have a pack of the Tim Holtz brads, and as I remember, they're exactly the same. I'm just going to randomly pick 2. I don't care if they're the same colour or not. They might have aged differently. One never knows, does one? And I'm going to get my book. Yeah, I'm using it the correct way, because you can just see where the writing on the side was. It will get covered up with the sewing. And I'm going to place this on. I'm going to grab my tea ruler. I'm going to do it slightly by eye, but I do want it to be a little bit straight. So that you can probably see that better than me, because I'm not directly above it. That looks about right. Before I go stabbing holes, I'm just going to check. Yeah, I want it not too high up, not too far down, and I'm just going to grab my pokey tool. I'm not making the hole all the way through yet. Just going to start the hole off. Get it in the middle. There we go. And then I'm just going to get a piece of foam or something to stop me stabbing my desk. Yeah, I'll use this big thick chompy one. And then I'm going to use my awl, which is a bit more sturdy than my pokey tool. There we go. And I'm going to poke all the way through. This is the other reason I've not put my inside covers on yet. There we go. There we go. I recommend keeping a lovely thick piece of foam when you have some furniture delivered. I've no idea what that came in. And then I've got, oh, it looks like 2 eyes on book now. Now I'm just going to grab my bone folder. Just flatten that down a little bit. There we go. That makes it a lot neater when you cover this up. Like this, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue around the outside. Oh, glitter glue, where are you? I've got 2 bottles of this on go. Just a little bit. Well, that were a little bit too much, weren't it? Whee. It's not going to fall out because it's bigger than, and I'm going to put a little bit on the back as well. Pop it inside. That's straight. I'll wipe most of that off on back. And then when I pop it to the book, it will stay exactly where I want it. Grab my wet baby wipe again for my fingers. Got a little bit of wiggle time. Oh, is that glue? Yeah. I'm just going to turn this sideways so I can see the holes better. Yeah, that's lined up. Just going to move that down slightly. Then pop those in. There we go. I think that needs to move down a little bit more. we go. Do it now while your glue's wet. That's it. Then let's turn it over and open up these brads. I'm going to do it with my awl. Then I'm going to use handler this. Let's turn it over. Ooh, there we have it. Oh, I like that. Yeah, that looks good. Now all I have to do is decide if I do want to put any of the gold gilding wax on, gilding paste on. I think I will leave that to another video. We've waffled on for an hour now, and I honestly can't decide. Let me know what you think in comments. Should I put gold on? You can see the tiny little bit there in the corner. I've put the gold on and then inked over it. Let me know if you think I need to put some gold on. So there's our book. There's our signatures. Like I said, my next job is to put some pockets, a few pockets and tucks in. Yeah, they're upside down. I'll sort them out before I sew it. Put a few pockets and tucks on, and then I'll be back in the next video to show you how I did the pockets, just a quick talk through, and sew in the signature. And then, yeah, only thing left is a little bit of decoration inside, and we will have our eclectic junk journal. I really hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, let me know in comments what you think about the gold gilding wax, and yeah, I will see you next time at some point. I'm not going to say when, because if I say when, something will go wrong. So, see you next time. Bye.